Welcome back. Sorry about that rude interruption. Let's go ahead and get ourselves settled back in. Like I said, y'all need to get something to eat or drink. That was the time to do it. Not gonna lie, we were a bit peckish ourselves, so we took that opportunity to go ahead and get a little grub in our bellies. So this is part two of Tyrannical Taurus Tells the Truth, chapter one. Mr. Green creates his own narrative. Ah, okay. So where were we before we were so rudely interrupted? Ah, yes. Picking up where the story left off. 23, 4 years old. Mr. Mr. Green, as we said before, he loved his mom's cooking. It was just one thing. One thing. It was that doggone bacon. We love bacon now, but back then it wasn't one of our particular favorites. So what ended up happening is my mom, she went ahead and made our plates. You know what I'm saying? My dad and my two brothers, they finished first always. Then it was our turn. You know what I'm saying? We eating up everything, that doggone bacon. And eventually, Mama had to use the bathroom. So when she went to the bathroom, Mr. Green, with the intelligence of a complete dumbass, this son of a gun takes the chair he was in, scoots it back from the table. At 3 years old, heavy. This wasn't no punk ass chairs like they make now. This was an actual wooden, very sturdy chair. Took that chair, he didn't want to make no sound. Gotta think, Mr. Green wasn't like everyone else. It was those little things he went ahead and noticed about the world and how he was going to survive it. So what he did was, like I said, he even at that age, extremely powerful and strong as fuck. This nigga took the damn chair, picked it up, and just suspended it a couple of inches off the ground. 3 years old. Moved it over there to the kitchen area, right by the sink. By the sink, there was a cabinet. He got up on the cabinet. He got up on the chair, got up on the counter, and looked for some seasoning. There was some seasoning in the bag with a white blue label on it. A little bit of white, a little black, a little red. It was seasonal. One of our actual favorite seasonings, and we didn't know it at the time. He dumped all that seasoning out. He untwisted the top, popped the little shaker thing, dumped it all out. Funny thing is, he took the bacon and slid it inside, and it fit perfectly. Now, most kids, they'll be satisfied with that. They'll put the black top on it. Not Mr. Green. He put the shaker back on there, screwed the top, put the seasoning in the back. Took the chair, got off the counter, of course, got onto the chair, got onto the floor. Once again, took that chair, suspended it a couple of inches off the ground, went back to the table, set the table down, set the chair down, got in the tub, got in the chair, finish what was left on his plate. Now, here's where the kicker of this story comes in, Mama Dog. Same day, same second, Mr. Green, if you remember correctly, you had gave him some juice for finishing all of his dinner, all of his breakfast. So he had the juice, and I believe Mom went somewhere. I'm not sure where she went, but she went, but she wasn't in the vicinity. So Mr. Green, having full lay of the land, took his juice, took it off the off the doggone table, was making his way to a little coffee table. He set his drink down, and the drink spilled over because there was some papers, and like I said, he was a dumbass, and it tipped over, spilled everywhere, mostly on the countertop. I mean, mostly on the coffee table, but it spilled. Mr. Green, he looked around, nobody in sight. Now he could have just left it there, let whoever and whatever go ahead and take the heat for it. Not him. He fucked up, and he owned that shit. So he went to try to find something to clean up, but he couldn't find anything. And lo and behold, next to the coffee table was a small rectangular pack, kind of like this, but it was a mixture of blue and green, mostly white. This was a Newport pack. Mr. Green opened the Newport pack. He saw it was basically a whole bunch of cigarettes, but he didn't know what cigarettes were. This was when my mom was still smoking. And believe it or not, she actually stopped smoking after this time. The first Bandit Breaker came at 3 years old. It was surreal. So what ended up happening is he took the cigarettes. I don't know, even to this day, that's how we knew that this guy, this kid, this baby was no ordinary baby. Because how on earth could you take cigarettes, a whole glass of juice, take little cigarettes, and literally soak up all of it with the whole cigarettes? Soaked it all up. All over the table. He soaked it all up. Still in his hand. Took the box. Just like this. Didn't use his hand. He just used his wrist. Brilliant. Dumb as shit, but brilliant. And somehow navigated all of those cigarettes back in there whole. He didn't take them one by one. He literally had it in his hand, little chubby fingers, and he maneuvered it in there. Closed it up, put it back where it was at. Went to the bathroom. He found some. Finally, he went ahead and he looked all around in the bathroom and he found some toilet paper. And he little tiny bit that spilled on the floor. He got that up, made it as best as he could, and if everybody asked, he just was gonna own up to it. Later that day, Mama came back wanting to smoke. She saw the coffee table, and she knew almost instantly who had done this because nobody else liked Kool-Aid as much as Mr. Green liked Kool-Aid. So she sat there and she looked at it. She was like, it seemed like somebody already basically cleaned it up. And they tried their best, you know. Okay. So she takes the pack of cigarettes, goes to open it, and she notices her cigarettes are all stained and colored. as the shadow, we were everywhere in those times. So we weren't where Mr. Green was. We was basically where we wanted to be at. And we just wanted to see this story unfold. Like we're not drama people, like, but we love a good entertaining tale. So we love the story of this because it just built up so naturally. And how he played his position was just so there's no way to there's no way you can make this up. She sat there and she looked in the doggone cigarettes, saw that doggone Kool-Aid stain on there. She said, that motherfucker. And she closed the thing. She was like, and she just held it in her hand. And I can remember it to this day. She said, that's my sign. I need to stop smoking. Now, to continue with the previous story, once again, she found out about that part. But as you know, if you were paying attention, there were two things Mr. Green did that day. My mom found out about one of them. It took about a couple of weeks until she found out about the other one. And this one was even funnier than the first. So, my mom, she was making a big meal. And I don't know why, but she just wanted some seasoning. I guess the seasoning that she was using, she didn't want that. She wanted the season all. And Mr. Green, we were literally standing next to each other. Mr. Green, he saw his mom opening the cabinet. Now, most kids, he was so intuitive. He knew what was about to happen, but he just stood his ground. He was adamant about just, taking his lick. So we figured as soon as our mom reached for that doggone seasonal, she was gonna feel that it wasn't how it was supposed to be. But here's the kicker of the story. The bacon had dried to a point where it made this sound like it had so much seasoning in it. So when my mom shook it before she started using it, she's like, yeah, I got a full bottle. Yeah. So she goes to, and we were just amazed. Like both of us just looked at each other like, is this happening? This can't be happening. Ooh, we're about to get our ass mollywopped. Oh man, we knew we were about to get assassinated. Who in the heck is calling us while we're trying to tell our stories? Who the heck is this? I don't know who that number is. Who's this? Give me a text before you give me a call. You feel me? That way I know who you are, because I'm not gonna answer. Anyway, where were we? We were at the part where Mr. Green and I locked eyes and couldn't believe the story that was unfolding right before our eyes. He was just so adamant he was not going to run away. He was going to see this through to the very end. So my mom, there was a big pot over the stove. Unscrewed the lid, started shaking that joker. Now she could hear something going inside, but nothing was coming out. So she looked and she started smacking that joker. And man, it took all, I don't know how he kept his cool, but I was laughing the whole time. Mr. Green just kept that stoic Mr. Green face, and he was in the eyebrow raise. And he politely and then walked to his room. Next thing you know, my mom takes the little shake her off. Lo and behold, that little motherfucker did it again. Look at all this damn bacon in this motherfucker. And she started pulling out. How long has this been in here? You mean there was a whole bottle? Whole bottle of seasonal. And when it came down to it, before she even came to our room, I believe she just was speaking to herself, and she was like, well, we should have known something, because we knew he didn't like bacon, but we gave him bacon anyway. And once again, it came to one of those scenarios where it's kind of like, shoot. She just let real shit be real shit. If nobody don't know why I love my mama so much, that's why. We was supposed to get our ass, and that's why we went to the room. We were expecting her to come in there. We wasn't expecting no explanations. What's understood doesn't need to be explained. We knew what it was. We was expecting that whooping. We was literally in the bed, just sitting up, just waiting. We knew it was coming. She never opened that door. She just let real shit be real shit. She allowed us to be us. And we appreciate that to the fullest, because this is the part where all the happy memories, they're going to end for a while. Because at 3.5, Mr. Green was not woke. He was aware. This kid was so aware of everything. And it only took one time he did not listen to his mama to completely set the tone for everything that will come next. They say in the good book, it's better to cast your left hand into the lake of fire than it is to let the whole body burn. 3.5 is when we lost our pinky. Funny thing is, we never really missed it to begin with. All from one thing: disobedience. At 3.5 years old, my mom had given us a soda. We remember it very distinctly. It was a blue soda can, a little bit of white stripes, and a little red. Pepsi. Never had soda before. This was going to be the best and worst day of our lives, whether we believed it or not. And my mom told me in particular, well, I know how you like to stick your finger to get the last little bit and, any kind of thing. She was like, this is a metal can. It's a metal can, baby. You do that, you're going to cut yourself. She was like, if you want some more, just let me know. But don't put your finger in that. Don't put your fingers in there. Mama gave us the can. She opened it for us. She gave it to us. Man, we loved that shit. We loved soda. And Mama, like we said, we were like an easy bake oven. Give us what we need, set it and forget it. Not gonna see us. Ain't see Mama for another 3 hours. We was Gucci. Not that day. And it wasn't Mom's fault. Never was it her fault. That was all on us. We got to the end of the can, and we used our pinky to keep to try to get the last little drops out. She was so good. Kept on doing it. And then one day, literally not one day, but literally the next time I put my finger in there. If you notice the motion I'm doing, you'll know what's happening. So he's trying to get the last little bit in out of there. But something was ferociously wrong. Like he couldn't. This was the first time ever that we ever seen Mr. Green with a not stoic face. It was a look of panic. He was like, what? And you should have saw this. He literally had the can like this, still attached to his finger. He was trying to get it off. So he finally, something inside of him just said, calm down. He calmed down. He got his finger out. And it was bloody as the fuck. I had never seen him bleed like that. It was everywhere in a matter of a couple of seconds. Once again, on some Taurus ass shit, not even Taurus shit, on some survivalist shit. This kid fashions a tourniquet. You hear me? What 3-year-old knows how to make a tourniquet? This kid made a fucking tourniquet. He literally went to the bed, grabbed the sheet, and wrapped it around his finger, and then applied pressure. And all he did was just rock back and forth because he was like, because once again, it's Mr. Green. You wonder at this particular point, where was my mom at? Why, a kid, he just lacerated his whole hand. Where's the parent at? Where is she at? Don't worry about where my mom was at. She was doing what she was supposed to be doing. I told you from the very fucking beginning. This one was all on us. The reason my mom didn't come in until 3 hours later after the fact is simple. She didn't hear no screams, didn't hear no yelling, no hooping, no hollering, no crying. There was none of that. He just sat there and rocked, thinking about his actions, thinking about what he had done, and knowing it was his fault. He was warned, he was foretold, and he didn't listen. Disobedience. And he felt as though this is our atonement. We knew our mama loved us so much she would never. So this was our atonement. This was our lick. We had to take it. And ain't no asking for no help, and ain't no asking for assistance on this one. You dug your grave, you're going to have to go ahead and get yourself out of it. So he was sitting there rocking back and forth. 1 hour went by. We appeared in the corner. We appeared in the corner to him. At that particular moment, he stopped rocking. And he had this look on his face. And we wanted to inch closer, but something prevented us from going closer to him. Hour 2 comes by. He did not blink. He didn't move. He just was looking at us with those eyes. And we kept wondering, why can't we go no further? And then it hit us. This kid actually blocked off the section of the house where he and I were at. Because he didn't know who I was, so he didn't know why I was there, and he didn't know what my purpose was, and he didn't know my intent. So rightfully so, he treated me as you should treat me, the enemy. So he went ahead and he put up a protective barrier, not around himself, but around the surrounding space between me and him. And this son of a bitch, I don't know what to call this, but he made a separate barrier to keep me away from him. Once again, he never protected himself. He never had a need to. He wanted to protect everyone else. He don't know who this person is. He don't know what this entity is. This thing in the in the corner next to the door, like a big puff of smoke. Hour 3 comes by. The kid's in and out of consciousness at this point. Whether you believe it or not, this was the first time he died. And we thought this was our opportunity to go ahead and snatch that body up. And every time we got close, he would push us back. This motherfucker had both his feet in the grave, and he had the power to keep us back. Bishop B. Bandit, the Bandit King, King Smokey. That doesn't happen. Ever. In all of our 10,000 years, nobody or entity has ever kept us at bay for that long, let alone with a mortal wound that was infected with gangrene. So finally, we decided to just get off our ego, get off our horse, and just speak with him. It was like, kid, you need to take these barriers down. Gangrene is starting to set in. We know you don't know what that is, but it's bad. You could lose your whole arm if you let that shit. You could lose your life to this shit. Now, no matter what I said to him, so stoic, he just kept his eyes on me, not moving, but always clenching that finger, applying that pressure. Eventually, I felt the pressure release off of our chest. His barrier that separated us two, it came down. He had lost too much blood. And just before he was about to flatline, the first barrier he put up went down. And it was at this point his mom came in the room. Once again, there was no sound. His mom, on pure instinct, went in the room, opened the door. And she opened the door where I was at. And she saw what happened. She just saw everything, and she went rushing to the baby. And before she could reach him, he just was. Yeah. That was the first time we died. Of course, the paramedics don't know this because they weren't notified until after she realized what happened and after she had a boy in her arms. But he died. And when he came back, he wasn't the same. He wasn't me, but he wasn't him either. He was different, much more powerful. It's like him being that close to death and coming back from it altered him. It changed him. It made him almost superhuman, really. From that point on, it became very, very difficult to kill him.